30 to 80% of the calories was in fat, traditional diets. About 4% came from polyunsaturated fatty acids. Okay, this is the first thing I want you to keep, and I want you to keep those numbers in mind a little bit. Dietary sources of fat in the U.S. diet. Okay, we got 1909 in green, and we got 1985 in red. What you see is this massive increase in the amount of polyunsaturated fats we're consuming versus the saturated fats we used to consume. Butter, lard, and the shortening actually used to be animal shortening, wasn't vegetable shortening. Wasn't Crisco. Crisco is the first factory food. It is the first Frankenfood. Something made that it was a waste product they didn't have anything to do with, and they created a fabulous marketing campaign for the stuff, convinced you it was cheaper and better than butter, and here you go, eat it.
Bacteria will eat it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like putting margarine out for the animals. If you ever put a margarine out to leave for the animals, it'll just sit there. They don't touch the stuff. So, 18 chain carbon fatty acids. The 18 carbons is the number of carbons that are in the molecule. And with a saturated fat, you see something like you got on the left. It's all straight like that. Monounsaturates or polyunsaturates, you get these kinky-looking molecules like these you see over here. And these might be names you recognize: oleic, linoleic, linolenic. Okay, these are your essential, what are called essential fatty acids. Why are they called essential fatty acids? Thank you. Because your body doesn't make them. You need to get them from dietary sources. Okay, so this is what we're talking about when olive oil is mostly that oleic fatty acid. Okay, your vegetable oils are mostly this linoleic and linolenic. These is what we're looking at here. Are your omega-3s and your omega-6 oils. Okay, so what do we need saturated fat for? Well, it turns out we need it for a whole lot of things. You need it for your cell membranes to help keep them waterproof, as well as cholesterol. You need it for your cell membranes. You need it for your bones. You need it for heart function. You need it for your liver. You need it for your immune system. You need it for your brain. You need it to detoxify things. Okay, saturated fat is another one of these things that the body has 1,010 uses for. If you don't get enough, you're going to compromise these systems in your body. These are a particular form of saturated fats, which are called the short and medium chain fatty acids. These all have less than 18 carbons in them. Okay, and the thing that you want to notice about these is that they don't show up in very many foods. They're not present in very many foods. They're not the typical saturated fats you would get if you're just kind of cruising through your diet and not paying a whole lot of attention to it. So what is special about these short and medium chain fatty acids is they increase your metabolism. They help you lose weight because they are never, ever, ever stored as fat. They're always only used for energy by the body. So if you're putting those kinds of saturated fats into your body, what you are doing is you're forcing your body to burn more energy, you're increasing your metabolic rate, and you're going to lose weight over time compared to putting some other kind of polyunsaturated fat in your body. They're good for the immune system. Some of these short and medium chain fatty acids actually are antimicrobic and antibacterial. You try to put bugs to grow in them, and they will not. They're actually directly supportive of the immune system on a number of different levels. They help with intercellular communication, antimicrobial, kills pathogens, including candida in the gut. Okay, very, very interesting set of substances there. The short and medium chain fatty acids.
Do they tend to be liquid and?
Oh yes, thank you. I wanted to say something a little more about the saturated fats and the monounsaturates and the polyunsaturates. When the saturated fats, you saw the molecule is thin, like it's a stick. So if you get a whole bunch of them together, they can kind of they fit together very densely. The result of that with regard to temperature is that at room temperature, they're always solid. So you have to heat them up more. You have to add more energy to get them to be liquid. With the monounsaturated fats like olive oil, they might be liquid. They might be liquid at room temperature, but they're going to be solid in the refrigerator probably. Okay? And that's because they don't fit together quite as well, but they can kind of spoon together. There's just one kink in that molecule. There's just one, it's a monounsaturated fat, so there's one kink in it, so they can still kind of stack pretty nicely together. The polyunsaturates have all of these kinks in them. Remember, there's three-dimensional kinks, even though it's a two-dimensional picture. So these molecules kind of go this way, that way, that, and the other way. They can't ever kind of stick together. They're never solid. They're never solid. They're not solid at room temperature. They're not solid when they're refrigerated. They're always liquid. So that's one of the ways you can tell immediately a difference between a saturated fat, a monounsaturated fat, and a polyunsaturated fat. And they do a whole bunch of different things in the body as well. Okay, so what gives the most energy? Carbohydrates or fat? A molecule of glucose needs about 15 enzymes, a lot of vitamins and minerals, especially chromium and magnesium, and you get 32 units of energy. One molecule of fat needs 5 enzymes, a lot fewer vitamins and minerals, and you get 146 units of energy. Okay, again, this whole notion that eating fat makes you fat is upside down. It's not eating fat that makes you fat. It's eating carbs that make you fat. It's eating carbs because what carbs do is sugar levels in the body are extremely exactly monitored and tried to kept within a very small range, a homeostasis that's a very short, a very small range, because your brain is actually high levels of glucose, high levels of sugar in the brain are actually toxic to the brain. So the body makes an incredible effort to maintain your blood sugar levels in a certain level. So what happens when you put too many simple sugars, simple sugars into your body secretes insulin to moderate it, and it stores the extra glucose, the extra sugar, as fat. It puts it away for later use. That's how you create fat. That's how you get fat. It's not from consuming fat. It never was. Back to the cholesterol in your arteries. It's just not that. All right, so the fatty acid profile. All naturally occurring oils have a mix of these different fatty acids. So sometimes a portion of them will be saturated, a portion of them will be monounsaturated, a portion of them will be polyunsaturated. All natural oils look like that. It's not all or one. Okay, so we're looking at olive oil, peanut oil, sesame oil, generally oils that we recognize as being monounsaturated oils. These are the 3 primary oils we talk about when we talk about monounsaturated oils. These are your vegetable oils. And what the first thing you'll notice is that there is a lot more polyunsaturated oils in these oils than in the other ones and in the naturally occurring oils, which will the animal-based oils. All right, so this is what butter, lard, and tallow look like. And as you'll see right away, you've got much, much higher percentage in this blue of your saturated fats in these fats than you do in the vegetable oils. In the butter, you have this light blue thing, and those are your short and medium chain fatty acids. Again, they don't occur in very many foods. Butter is one of them. This is where you get your short and medium chain fatty acids. If you want to have short and medium chain fatty acids in your diet to improve your health, you get them from coconut oil and palm kernel oil. Coconut oil is more than 90% saturated fatty acids. It's mostly short and medium chain fatty acids. This is why it's so good for your skin. This is why it's so good for your immune system. This is why it's so good for your energy levels. All right, now one thing I want to point out here, if you're in the market for short and medium chain fatty acids, don't get palm oil. You have to get the palm kernel oil. It's not palm oil, it's palm kernel oil. All right, so study on fats. This is fat. This is very interesting. They had 3 sets of diets, I believe, and having different dietary fat sources. One was corn oil, one was olive oil, one was saturated animal fat. So a polyunsaturated oil, a monounsaturated oil, and a saturated fats from animals. The corn oil group had a 30% lower cholesterol. So this was touted as really good news. 52% were alive after 2 years. Olive oil group, 57% were alive after 2 years, and the animal fat group, 75% were alive after 2 years. Just, because, again, all of the data has been skewed and represented as being about cholesterol. The cholesterol went down. That's great news. Oh, well, a lot more people died. But no kidding. Every time you look at the data, more people die when they have lower cholesterol than when they have higher cholesterol. So this is what's changed. If you want to start looking at changes in the modern diet, this is one of the very biggest ones. And the other really major ones is the consumption of grains in the form of simple sugars. So you're talking high fructose corn syrup and a lot more grain simple carbohydrate consumption. In a primitive diet, you got 4% of your oils, of your fats, from these polyunsaturated. That's, again, omega-6 and omega-3. I want to point out the ratio you're looking at there. The ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 is, 1.5 to 1 maybe, like that. Now in our diet, we get all those omega-6s and we get that much omega-3, and together it's 20% of our calories. This stuff oxidizes like crazy, like nobody's business, and we're throwing it into our bodies like it was the end of the, like it was the finest thing we could be doing for ourselves, because it lowers cholesterol. Basically, that's what we've been told. This is good for your heart. It's not. Completely upside down and backwards again. So 20% of our calories are now coming from this, but worse still is the ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s. And so everybody's talking about you need to supplement with omega-3s. Yes, sure, you do. But if you're not getting rid of your omega-6s, you're not helping. You're not going to get the benefit from the omega-3s by supplementing with your omega-3s until you reduce the amount of omega-6s, because they're competing for the same receptors in your brain and what your body needs to do with those kinds of oils. So this is your most important omega-3, this docosahexaenoic acid. It's in your brain. It's in the synaptic junctions in your brain. It's a omega-3. It's displaced from your brain when you have too much omega-6. So when you're having too much vegetable oil in your diet. What happens when it gets displaced from your brain is, well, this is again new research. They're hypothesizing that this is one of the reasons we're seeing such large increases in depression, manic depression, memory loss, schizophrenia, and ADD. Is this change in the fact that we're changing our brain chemistry with all of these omega-6 oils that we're putting into our body right now. It may also be responsible for increasing levels of obesity. Now this is very interesting. Turns out omega-6 mimics cannabinoids in the brain. Cannabinoids there are a whole lot of cannabinoidal substances in the brain, in the body, that do a lot of things neurochemically in the body. Primary among them is appetite regulation. And so if your cannabinoids are overproduced, you tend to think you're hungry when you're not. Some people may have heard of such a thing as the munchies. Okay? And that's a real thing that's going on in your brain. Your brain's got too many cannabinoids running around in it, and it's stimulating your appetite control systems to tell you that you're hungry when you're not. Omega-6s do that. They mimic cannabinoids in the brain, and so they tell you you're hungry when you're not, so you're going to go eat. What are you going to eat? You're going to eat more of those omega-6s.
So combine that with MSG.
There you go. Can you say a Doritos chip? This is a Doritos chip.
Yeah.
This is what we're talking about. We're talking about a whole bunch of canola oil, a whole bunch of safflower oil, a whole bunch of sunflower oil, all the omega-6 you could ever need for 100 people in a bag of Doritos, and MSG. So it's no wonder you want to keep eating them.